Spiritual robbers are demons, spirits that have an assignment on your life to steal from you. They are there to steal absolutely everything the Lord has poured into you. They are there to pour out of you. Spiritual robbers you will see with people that do witchcraft. You will usually see them in bloodlines, generations. I know there must be instances whereby you would have heard in families where they have like a reoccurring infirmity or some type of condition, like maybe someone's granddad's granddad gone all the way back used to be an alcoholic, then the granddad's alcoholic, then the granddad became alcoholic, then the granddad became alcoholic, then the dad became alcoholic, then the son. When you have these reoccurring patterns of illnesses, infirmities, conditions, it's usually a generational it's usually a generational curse. Those are spiritual robbers on an assignment to rub out a complete bloodline or just to destroy a complete bloodline and useless them. That is what they do. When you live a life that is in complete chaos, and you can't even put your finger on why and how. If you live a life of loss, like extreme unfair loss, like we're talking, it's unfair, not because you say so, no, it's because let's just say like you where you are right now, you've done all the work, so you shouldn't be there, but you are there. And this isn't a one-time occurrence. It happens with everything in your life. It's like almost as though every time you put your hand on something to do it, and you do it to the fullest. You're not some lazy person who has excuses or doesn't take accountability. No. You do it to the fullest. And you've been doing this from your teens to your 20s, to your 30s, to your 40s, to your 50s. And the result is always the same. Nada. There are people who are out there who have less than you, but will always go further than you. Like you're always at the back. It's like you take 2 steps forward, just take 10 steps back. Then that's the pattern of your life. You have a spiritual robbery in your life. You do. Where you see that things in your life are being taken from you. You now have. You have spiritual robbers in your life. Miscarriages, spiritual robbers. They are. They really, really are. This one might hurt a little bit, but having kids born with birth defects also are spiritual robbers. Spiritual robbers are there to pour out what the Lord has poured in. That is their job. That is their duty, and that is their assignment. But spiritual robbers, they can't work unless they're in cahoots with you. They cannot work on their own. So one of the ways that they will come in to make an agreement with you, because just because you're born into it, like if it's in your bloodline, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be operational in your life. The covenant has to be made and agreed by you. Like you have to be working alongside the spiritual robber for him to steal from you, basically. You have to be a co-conspirator to this. How does he do this? He will usually come, one of the ways, in forms of your dreams. So if you're someone who is used to, you dream that you lose your keys, you lose your car, you lose yourself, you lose your kids. I'll tell you one thing that used to happen to me when I was in my 20s, because I definitely had spiritual robbers all over my life. I've made videos about this before. My bloodline, witchcraft to the brim. Okay, so it took a lot of deliverance, and I'm so thankful to the Almighty for saving me. When I was in my 20s, I remember this. I could never ever get it right with a guy in my 20s. Like it was impossible. And I remember every time I was seeing a guy and we were going to break up, I would always have a dream a week or 2 weeks before it happened. And in that dream, I would be looking for the guy. Like I would go to like a market stall, or I remember I would go to anywhere. But every guy I would always be looking for in that dream. A week to 2 weeks later, me and him are done. This was a reoccurring pattern. See, in my 20s, I wasn't saved. So when I started to clock that there's a pattern. So when I would have the dream, I would just accept it. Oh, well, it's going to be everything. So I was just still talking to him. I'll just stop because I was just like, it's going to be everything anyways. Do you see what I'm trying to say? You have to work with the enemy for his assignment to come to pass. See, he can't just do as he pleases when he wants. He can't. This is why we have spiritual laws. You must come into agreement with it. And I came into agreement with it every time. And like clockwork, every time I had those dreams, the relationship was done. It was done. You must come into agreement with it because we have spiritual laws. They are there for a reason. It doesn't matter about your intent. It doesn't even matter if you believe it or not. You believing or not that spiritual laws are there, or it's as though you saying, if you think that it doesn't apply to your life, it's as though you saying you jumping off a building, that gravity will hold you and you won't go all the way down. Yeah, the way that gravity doesn't take a day off, spiritual laws don't take a day off. It's up to you. You can believe gravity's there or not. My dear, if you go off a building, we all know where you're gonna go. Okay? Same thing with spiritual laws. There are laws and there are principles and there are things that have to happen for other things to happen. You must come into agreement with the enemy. How do you come into agreement? By joining in covenant. That's how you do it. So if they come into your dreams, they love to come as familiar spirits, people you know, places you've been, and you're just there, willy-nilly. You're just there. You're always in a certain place, you know. You're always seeing your auntie, your uncle, your lost relatives or your lost friends, lost people that you know. Like these are regular things for you. Those are not them. Those are not them. And this is coming from somebody who has lost one of the biggest persons in her life in 2024. They're not here anymore. But they will use their form, their figure. They will masquerade as them. Because they know you don't know better. They know it, you find it comforting. They know it feels like home. And how do you come into agreement with that? By gelling with it. Embracing it. Not rebuking it. By embracing it. You're in agreement with that. And you give the enemy all access to your life to steal. Have you ever been in those type of positions where things around you just break? It's like you wake up in the morning, the washing machine ain't working. It was working fine last night though. Absolutely fine. You're the only one that used it. The washing machine's been working fine for years. In matter of fact, it's even new. It's a new washing machine. Bus, not working anymore. You think, what? You get it fixed. Next thing now, toilet's blocked. What? You fix it. Next thing now, your front door doesn't lock. It's like you go through patterns where everything around you, there is always chaos in your life. It's like you just never ever win. Spiritual robbers. And if you want me to show you this in the Bible, I can. I'm going to take you to Genesis 40, 16. So this is the book of Genesis, which is my favorite book of the Bible, by the way. This is when Joseph was put in prison by Potiphar, because Potiphar's wife had accused him of rape. And while he was there, he was imprisoned with the chief's cupbearer and the chief's baker. And they both had dreams. And Joseph was, given interpretation of the dream. So this is chapter 40, Genesis 40:16. When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given a favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top baskets were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head. Verse 18. This is what it means, Joseph said. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole, and the birds will eat away your flesh. Verse 20. Now the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all of his officials. He lifted up his head off the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. Verse 21. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position so that he was once again put the cup into Pharaoh's hands, but he impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had said to them in his interpretation. He had a dream. He had a dream that there were 3 baskets on his head full of baked goods, and in those baskets the birds were coming to eat of them. What is that? You had something there. You had gain. That was yours, and there were these creatures coming to take it out, leaving you with what? Nothing. Robber. That is a spiritual robber. He didn't, now even after the dream was told, it doesn't say in the scriptures that he rebuked it. Clearly he didn't. Because what Joseph had interpreted the dream, what Joseph had said the dream meant is what happened. You see, the thing is, we have authority. God gave us dominion over the enemy. We have dominion. Just because you have a bad dream that you died or someone died or whatever, does not mean you must accept it. Like, oh, this is no. It's God that gave you life. Okay, it doesn't mean you must accept. You have dominion. Where do you have dominion? I'm gonna show you. It says in the book of Genesis, in Genesis 1:26, then God said, let's make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all over the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. God gave us dominion. He gave us dominion. It is ours. It is ours. So when you are having these bad, ungodly, demonic dreams, you are not supposed to stay silent or say one little 5-minute prayer. No, you are meant to go into the spiritual warfare. You are meant to go into spiritual warfare. Okay? Because everything around us is temporal. You see, the things of the spiritual realm, they are eternal. I'll show you another place where spiritual robbers were. If we also take a quick look at Mark 9:21. This is the story when Jesus was healing the possessed boy with the impure spirit, the unclean spirit. It says, Jesus asked the boy's father, how long has your boy been like this? How long has he been like this? From childhood, he answered. He has often thrown himself into fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. If you can, said Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. Immediately, the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief. When Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the impure spirit. You deaf and mute spirit, he said, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. The spirit shrieked, convulsed him violently and came out. The boy looked so much like a corpse that many said, he's dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. There's a young boy right now who was throwing himself into fire, couldn't speak, had a deaf and mute spirit, and God took it out of him. The boy's life was being robbed. He was being robbed. He couldn't speak. But you see, one thing I love about this story, I know I'm being quite quick, I'm not really going into it as I actually would when I do my actual Bible lessons, is you see the verse where the boy's father said, that's 24. The boy's father saying, I do believe, help me overcome my unbelief. Guys, it's very normal to be like that, to feel like it's impossible for God to help me. I'm going to tell you that it's very normal, especially when you live a life of being robbed. When you've lived a life of constantly having your cup being emptied, you are going to live a life whereby you've given up. You do everything waiting for it to go wrong. So you do live a life of unbelief. That can never happen to me. Well, we'll see. Deep down, no, it won't ever happen. And that is the point of the enemy. That's actually the point. The point is to give up. The point is to never seek refuge in Christ, because what can he do? Look, I've been going through this for 42 years. No. If you are having problems believing that God can help you, ask him to renew your faith. You ask him to renew your faith, because everything being poured out of you shouldn't be happening. God cannot bless you with all this abundance and you're left with drips and drabs. Your life should not be the way it is. This was not the goal. This was not the plan. It's in the Bible. He says, my plans are to prosper you. You're not prospering. So clearly, what's happening? Spiritual robbers are real. Begin to put them in your prayers. Begin to ask the Lord to reveal them to you. Reveal them to you. Even when they are in your dreams, they're coming as usual to come collect, like debt collectors. But these ones are just you collectors. Ask the Lord to show you. Ask him to open your eyes, give you that spiritual insight. Your kids, and listen, if he's stealing from you, he's stealing from your kids. Look at your house. Should you still be where you live in? You can't afford to do something. Everyone else can afford to do it. Why can't you afford to do it? Why are you trying and trying and trying and trying and trying? And you still get nowhere. You've been looking for a job, but you never found one. You stay looking, you never find a thing. Put it in your prayer life. Spiritual robbers, and wherever you yourself have opened the door, because as I said, you got to work, you got to be in cahoots with them. They can't just come. No. Even if they come through your parents, even if they come through yourself, ask the Lord to show you where the gap is in your armor, because there is a gap. That is why they were able to come through. May the Lord bless you all.